Hi, I'm Rich Walkoff. Everyone wants to know what it is that makes accomplished athletes successful. Organizations of all kinds pay large sums of money, lots of money, to have their employees and staff listen to successful athletes talk about what it is that makes them successful, in hopes of having these people apply to their jobs and roles the secrets of athletic success. So let's find out what it's all about. You're going to have that opportunity right now, because with us are four very accomplished people in sports. Tony La Russa, the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, one of only two managers to win a World Series in both leagues, from the A's in '89 and of course, the Cardinals in '06. And prior to that, he was a manager of the Chicago White Sox. And we remember his big Bash Brother days with the A's. And Tony also earned his law degree in 1979 and is the only modern-day Major League manager to do so. He is also an advocate of animal rights and heads up a foundation that supports this cause. Jennifer Azzi earned an Olympic gold medal representing the United States in basketball at the 1996 Summer Games in Atlanta. She is a two-year All-America NCAA champion in hoops at Stanford University and also played professionally for 13 years, including 5 years in the WNBA. We also have with us John Doyle, a member of the U.S. national soccer team, and he represented the U.S. on that team in the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. John also played pro soccer in the U.S. and in Europe, and currently is the general manager of the expansion San Jose Earthquakes of the Major League Soccer. And Brad Gilbert was a pro tennis star who was ranked among the top 10 in the world for 9 years, of his first 10 years on the pro tour. He reached his career high in singles ranking when he was number 4 in the world in 1990. Now a television commentator for tennis and a coach and an author, Brad has also coached the likes of Andre Agassi, Andy Roddick, and Andy Murray. Thanks for all of you to be here. What an illustrious crew. You've all been very successful at what you've done. You've reached the very heights of your careers in sports. So as best you can tell us, why don't we get an idea of what it is that has made you so successful? Let's start with the two-time the world champion. I don't call him a Super Bowl champion. It's football season, but baseball season is right around the corner, Tony La Russa. And what is at the core, do you believe, for your success in sports?
Well, if you're a manager, I mean, you're just a contributor, so it really is being part of an organization. Ownership, front office, coaching staff, because it's all about players and how they compete. But I think the unity and the fact that you set the example as an organization that you're going to compete to the best of your ability. If that's good enough to win, that's good enough. Yeah,
but it's more than just filling out a lineup card. I mean, you set the tone for the team. Your rules, your orientation, your attitude, your philosophy.
You know, interesting, Rich. I think more and more, I'm talking about the last 10, 15 years, you know, there's a certain talent level that you need to be a major leaguer and be a champion. But I really believe, especially nowadays, there's so many distractions. We really coach things you control. You know, your mind, your guts, and how tough you are, and how you deal with adversity. And so, I think the gold right now when coaching is really paying attention to all those things that don't have anything to do with how fast you run or how hard you throw.
Yeah, but how did you get to this point, Tony? You were a pretty good ball player, but not enough to make it a long-term career. But you're an amazing manager. You've been at it for, what, 25 years or more?
I hear again, I think you never forget your priorities. I mean, when you coach, it's dealing with players, it's getting players to play to their ability. More and more is getting them to care. You know, these are very distracting times. There's a lot of money out there, there's a lot of media, and their friends and family are telling them to get your stats, get your money. And as a coach, you're talking about team and competing. But I think more than anything else, you got to personalize. If there's one way or one definition of surviving now as a coach, I don't think you can manage by memo. I think you have to really personalize your relationship. You have to challenge on a personal basis, and then you put all 25 individual challenges together in a team challenge.
Yeah, you're like the CEO of a big corporation when you're a manager of a Major League Baseball team, I guess, today. And Jennifer, your success, dynamite on the basketball court, and now doing a lot of fascinating things off the court. What at the core of your success? What do you cite specifically?
Well, I think number one, being very passionate about whatever it is that I'm doing. And there's really no substitute for hard work. Any successful organization that I've been a part of, any successful team that I've been a part of, everyone works extremely hard. And to Tony's point, there are a lot of distractions these days for athletes. And so to help athletes also to focus on that fact that there's no secrets really. It is all about hard work.
Yeah. Now, did you have a goal, little goals, big long-term goals when you were younger, a teenager and the like?
I wasn't a great goal setter when I was younger. I really went with what I was passionate about. You know, I was a young girl growing up in East Tennessee and just loved to play basketball. I played all the time, and it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I realized, wow, there's some real opportunity here.
Yeah, a lot of people say if you focus on the process, the results will come. Is that sort of emblematic of the way you approached your career and your game?
Oh yeah, I mean, I really believe, really in anything in life, the joy is in the journey. I really think it's in the process. You know, you have to set those goals, and I think as we get older, we do that. And you have to do everything you can to get to that goal. But, you know, oftentimes there's a little bit of a letdown when you actually get there. I mean, when we got our Olympic gold medals, I remember thinking, well, this is wonderful. But at the same time, wow, that was an awesome journey to get there. And, okay, what's the next thing?
Right.
So it really is in the journey.
Yeah, well, sometimes success, you may learn more from failure than you do from success.
Absolutely.
And when you have achieved that ultimate, the Olympic gold medal, that's the pinnacle. That's another new challenge, because as you carry on, life doesn't end at that point in time. You still wanted to play ball, but now you have to motivate and focus and set the bar even higher, or find it in a different direction. Not that it would necessarily be higher than Olympic gold, but, you know, expand upon that if you would.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think our lives in general are a series of achievements, and I don't think that you ever arrive. I think people that struggle the most in life may have a one-time success, and then that's kind of it, because they don't continue to grow and to strive and to do more. Now, I don't think you have to have a greater accomplishment per se, but I think just to continue on that path of challenging yourself. It's very important.
Sure. Now, John, you were an Olympian too. That's an amazing time, I'm sure. You didn't get the gold or, you know, the hardware, but the experience, I'm sure, was a big part of what catapulted you into great success on the field as a professional as well.
Yeah, I think it has to do with not wanting to lose. And, you know, you go back, I see my buddies that I grew up with, and I took it for granted. It was just the way I was brought up. I thought, I want to win all the time, and, you know, this, oh, but you really wanted to win. And I didn't feel that. And then as you get older and you're around professional people and people who are successful in sports and who are successful in everything, and you see that in those type of people, that they don't like to lose, and they try really hard to make sure that they win.
Yeah, so you were more driven than your fellow buddies as a kid and in high school and the like?
Oh yeah, but I didn't know it. You know, I thought that's just the way you do things, and then as we go back and we're laughing over things, they said, "No, you didn't like losing."
Was it that you wanted it more, or you hated losing more? Which motivated you?
I think it was both.
Yeah.
I think I wanted it more, and I didn't handle losing real well. And then as you get older and you get into professional sports, you have to learn to lose a little better and be a little more humble, and you can't win all the time. And as Tony was talking about, it's personalities and it's different things that come into play, and you learn all those things. But I think at the root of it, you have to always want to win.
And of course, as you get higher up in your endeavor, it's like a pyramid, and everybody is that much better. And most people have that same spirit and attitude about winning and wanting it as badly. And as I guess you learned, oh, there's a whole lot of guys like me out here, and I'm no longer the one trying the hardest or motivated the most. And that's a new challenge unto itself, because now the field is level. You're no longer the top dog.
Yeah, but I think you still always have to believe that you're better. And, you know, deep down, you can't say that, you know, but you have to, as you go into things, you have to think that you can get the better of your opponent, get the better of an organization, whether it's your organization. I mean, here with the expansion San Jose Earthquakes, everybody says it's an expansion team. You guys don't have a chance. And I mean, deep down, you have to believe you have a chance. You have to believe that you can win and be successful, and not think, oh, we have no chance. I mean, we may use that if we're not successful.
Yeah, sure. Well, we'll cut you some slack for a year or two, right? Now, here's a guy who never got beauty points. Winning Ugly was his book. Here you were, the classic overachiever, Brad, if it's fair to say, and I do it respectfully. You rose to number 4 in the world, and people said, well, what's his strength? Well, I don't really know. He's okay at this. He's pretty good at that. But you didn't have the dominant aspect of the tennis game, yet here you were, one of the best in the world. How did it happen?
One thing for sure, I mean, everybody wants a quick fix. There's no magic pill. It comes down to desire, working hard, loving what you do, and then going out there every day and just, you know, when you're doing your thing, you're trying to improve. And not setting goals that are too unrealistic. It's just, like when I'm coaching somebody or when I was playing, it's just trying to get better. Every day we get a little bit better. We work on little things, trying to become better in what we're doing. And you know, when you have a period where things aren't going as well, you know, short-term memory loss as a coach is a huge thing. You just got to let it go. figure out what's going on, and move on. And things will get better, and you can't let the negativity bring you down.
Yeah, so you really accentuated the mental aspects of tennis and that inner fortitude and that focus and concentration, all those fundamentals of athletic mastery skills that you might not have even known about, FAMs as they're known as, but they were intrinsic to everything that you did as a player and as a coach.
Well, when you're playing tennis and you're out there, one of the worst feelings is when you're getting destroyed. You don't got anybody to tap in.
Right.
You know, in tennis, there's no one to take your place, and that can be a humbling experience out there. And the great thing about sports, sometimes you don't have to be when they look at you, you might not be the best, but you could be the one that's winning. And so there's a lot of ways to win in sports, not just with the physical. The brain is a big tool.
Yeah, and John was saying he wanted it more. I guess you were the grinder too. I mean, you wanted it more than anybody else, because how else would you have achieved what you did without the physical attributes? And again, not to be disparaging, but you didn't have all the things that some other guys who were maybe, flashier.
My wife thought it was the short shorts, the tube socks, the mullet, the headband. It was the bad look sometimes the way I'd get to it. But you know what, I just think for me, when you have older siblings and you want to be better than them, that was always kind of a thing. It was like, I want to show people.
Yeah, you were driven. I guess that's a key thing too. Now, a researcher at the American Sports Institute spent 5 years studying what it is that high-performing amateur and pro athletes say determines success in sports. Thousands of articles, reports, and interviews were studied, and the research showed that there are 8 basic fundamentals of athletic mastery, or FAMs as we alluded to, that lead to success in sports. The FAMs include concentration, balance, relaxation, power, rhythm, flexibility, instinct, attitude. I think that they're all great things, and these are all subsets to each of these FAMs, but there are 8 major categories. These are the 8 ones. So let's briefly take each of the FAMs and have one or two of you comment on it. So let's start with concentration. Tony, I mean, if you're not concentrating as a manager, I mean, people think that you make out the lineup card and you say, go play, guys, and, make the right substitutions. But you're concentrating pitch to pitch, inning by inning, micro-analyzing a game. Otherwise, you're going to be the guy in the other dugout's going to own you.
Well, I always go back a stride or two. Concentration is important, right? So what are you concentrating on?
Right.
If you're concentrating on, gee whiz, I'm in a team sport, but I really want to get 3 hits today because I want to have a nice average and make money, that takes away from your performance. One of the keys, and Jennifer mentioned the journey, and you mentioned process, not results. What are you concentrating on? You're concentrating on what you have to do and how you do it. And we also talk about why you're doing it. Why? I mean, you didn't choose golf or tennis. You chose a team sport. Mm-hmm. So you need to care about your teammates. You need to plug in your piece and all those things. So we talk about why you're concentrating, and then if you're taking an at bat, I mean, you don't think about the distracting result about, well, if I get a hit, we win. You think about, how do I take my first at bat? So concentration is very important. But in the end, I think we believe that if something's important to you, then you're going to pay attention to it. And we try to explain the reason it's so important to concentrate is because you're expected to compete to the best of your ability, take our shot to win.
And be in that moment. Because thinking about where you're going to be or where you were or where you want to be, taking you out of your moment, you've lost your concentration.
I actually think the most powerful thing that we coach over the years is that there isn't anybody that plays for us that can't be the go-to guy. The guy that takes the at-bat in the 9th inning or makes the pitch. Because we really teach that if you concentrate on, you block out all distractions and you just think about what you're doing and how you're going to do it. Process and not results. Any of us can be that clutch guy.
Yeah, and how many times have we seen in the World Series, the heroes are rarely the superstars batting cleanup. It's maybe Adam Wainwright coming out of the bullpen, your rookie 2 years ago, or some infielder, Al Weiss in the '69 Mets. The least heralded sometime rise up at the most opportune times because of some of the things you're talking about, I imagine.
Well, they do, but most of the time when you get the unheralded guys, because they were taken cheap by the other side and they throw a fastball in the middle. But what you want to do is you want to learn to succeed when guys are pitching you tough or
Right.
guys are hitting tough against you, and all of us can do it as long as you think in the right direction.
Right. And I guess, Jennifer, from a basketball standpoint, I think it was John Wooden who said, you want to be intense, not tense. Again, that concentration, but you can concentrate yourself into white knuckle fever and then, lose it.
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head. It's really being in the moment. And in basketball, I think it's important really with all of our sports. I mean, that you have that level of focus and concentration, and that you can tune out all other distractions. I mean, if you're really in the moment concentrating on your skill, you're not worried about the fans and all the who's in the gym and all these other things. You're able to focus.
Yeah, and is that an acquired skill, if you will? Is it something you got to work on to keep those distractions out, kind of quiet the mind to bring out the best?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that you have to work on. In fact, just before the national championship at Stanford, Tara Vanderveer, our coach, played all this really loud fan noise because it was going to be so loud where we were going, and we were inexperienced. We'd never been to a championship before, and so it was important to kind of mentally put ourselves in that situation before we even went there, and it helped a lot. We laughed about it, but it helped a lot.
Yeah, well, in soccer, you could be in a hostile environment with 50,000 or more fans, and when you were overseas in the Olympics, I mean, there are a lot of American flags, but you're in the minority, if you will, so the concentration, I think, is key, especially if you're, as I say, in that hostile arena, huh, John?
Absolutely. I mean, even World Cup qualifiers here in the States, you're usually going to, if you play Mexico, there's more Mexican fans, more Guatemalan fans, Costa Rican fans, so you have to tune out all the outside influences and what I say, concentrate and focus on what you need to do to be successful in the game and how it relates to your team and how you can help your teammates. I always made sure, and when I played, we have 45-minute halves. I went 15 minutes at a time. And I just did my 15 minutes, making sure I was in the right place at the right time. And that's the way I was able to make it through games where it was a game that you may lose concentration or you had extra nerves. And then as you get more accomplished at it, it was easier to get through those games.
So you play little mind games with yourself to ease the tension and maybe, you know, break down the daunting challenge that was before you.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at it, you say it's 90 minutes, and I was a defender, a central defender, so you're playing against the best attacking players on the opposing team. You're thinking, okay, am I going to be able to stop this guy for 90 minutes? But I can stop him for 15 minutes at a time.
I like
so
that.
you'd work on the 15 minutes, stop him for 15, look at the clock, okay, I got 15 more to go, I got 15 more to go, I got halftime. You finish the game, and then again, as you get a little older and you're used to those circumstances and playing against top players, it becomes easier.
Yeah.
But it was a way that got me through in 1990 in the World Cup. We were playing Italy and Rome, and I remember looking at it going, I can make 15. I know I can make 15. I don't know if I'm going to make 90, but I'll make 15, and it got me through the whole game.
Yeah, so you psych yourself up rather than psych yourself out, because it could be daunting. If you, I mean, there's such a thing as negative adrenaline. Everyone talks about adrenaline as a positive aspect of sports, but negative adrenaline, I mean, you're lost before it starts if that's what's humming in your being, right?
Well, and in that game in particular, we walked out and the Italian player said, no, go ahead, it's Rome. You guys go first. We thought, what a bunch of nice guys who letting us come here on the field. And then what they wanted was us to go out first, so then the flags and all the noise and the booing and hissing, so then they could come out after us and be happy. And one of the players ended up playing in the MLS. We played against each other. I was laughing, Roberto Donadoni. I said, that was a good one. You know, you put us under the gun.
There you go. So playing that psychological game. I was on the 49er radio broadcast for many years, and Bill Walsh would tell his team as they were chasing Super Bowls seemingly year after year, well, that's a pretty daunting challenge, right? He said, don't view it as the road to the Super Bowl. You have to move this giant boulder, because we can't move the boulder. Just chip away at it every day until it becomes a bunch of little pebbles, and then we'll run over it. That's how we get to the road to the Super Bowl. Brad, that inner game of tennis, same kind of thinking, I'm sure.
You know, it's easy to think about the finish line, but it's just starting out, and it's the whole process.
Yeah.
Like in tennis, if you're not concentrating, you're gone. I mean, there's little battles, but I think too often you think about way out there, and you guys just start with the little things, and you build, and you know, you just don't worry about the little things like that. It's just so many things can go wrong.
I have a tennis coach because I'm a hack and I can't afford to get a Brad Gilbert to coach me. But he was saying...
You think I'm expensive?
Oh, out of my league. So here we are. We're on a practice court. He hits a tennis ball to the deuce court. Then he hits a tennis ball to the ad court. He does it a few times. He goes, where am I hitting the ball? And we all go, deuce court, ad court. He goes, no. Deuce court, no. I'm hitting the ball right here. Okay? Right where he threw the ball up and hit the racket with the ball. Essentially saying us, watch the ball. This is where the game is played, with the ball in the racket. Not where I'm hitting it. it's a
At your
point of
level,
contact.
you just want to make contact.
Yeah, to make contact, right.
Make
So where am I
contact.
hitting the ball? I'm hitting it right at the racket. Emblematic of the things you're saying, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at your level, you just want to make contact.
I want to just get it on the court.
Get it in the court, move your feet, have some fun
Right.
out there. Don't
Right.
make it so complicated. Tell the
Thanks.
coach, not so
Right.
complicated.
What do I owe you? All right. What about the idea of being relaxed? Because, as we said earlier, Jennifer, be intense, not tense. Well, okay, relax. I played in a charity tournament with Martina Navratilova, and I made the goofiest mistake, and she chastised me, and I was so amped I couldn't calm myself down. I was trying to, my friends on the court side were going, breathe, you know? But that very same thing, if you can't relax, and I guess a part of it is concentration, but you tell me, how did you relax in a hostile environment when everyone's screaming and most of the fans don't want you to do well, yet you rise above it?
I think relaxation is different for everyone. I mean, I had teammates that needed to pump up with really loud music, and then, I had other ones that would almost want to meditate, and I fell somewhere in between in order to get me into that game mode where I could just relax and play the game. But I think with relaxation, it's important to know yourself and your own triggers and what works for you, because in a team sport, it's not always going to be the rah-rah for everybody. It's going to be very different in getting people to that space.
Sometimes it's fun in a hostile environment,
Yeah.
Sometimes it actually makes you relax more because you know what, everybody's against you, and you feel like sometimes you got nothing to lose, so it's easy to play.
There you go. I mean, no one thinks you can do it, so the pressure is off. Pressure and handling pressure, again, the concentration, the rhythm, and all that. How about the aspect of power? I mean, sometimes the harder you try, the worse things get. How do you get focused enough so you can manifest the power that you need, whether it's running down that speedy forward in a game, John, or making the big kick to clear the ball out in front of your goal?
I think power, it's when you use it. And again, that's decision making on the field. You have to decide at the right time when you're going to come in and try to challenge to win the ball.
Yeah.
When you're going to come in to try to score a goal. You're always, I think, in athletics, the players are powerful. It's just when to use that power and to use it to your advantage, because other players are going to use it to your disadvantage by they see you coming in with power, and they're going to jump over the tackle and they're going to get penalties and things like that. So I think it's just managing the power. I think most of the players are very powerful out there these days,
sure.
And it's just when to use it and when not to use it.
And for Tony, he just makes out the lineup card and says, Albert Pujols, number 4. That's how you find power, right? Beyond that,
Like those push-button clubs.
yeah, it's never as easy as that. And everyone sits from the, on the TV or at the ball game saying, I could manage that team. They're loaded. Well, there's a lot more to it than that.
Well, in the power, I think you've got to define the sport. If you're an offensive tackle or a defensive tackle in football, that's one thing. In baseball, power, there is a power component, but a lot of it is rhythm and timing. In fact, we had one of the best hitting coaches of all time, Charlie Lau, used to tell guys, swing easy, hit hard, because you can muscle yourself right out of your rhythm and timing.
Yeah, I think it was ball camps. I went down to Arizona. Tommy Davis was there, a former National League batting champion, and he said, soft hands on the bat, because a lot of young kids think, if I grip it and rip it, the John Doyle approach to hitting a golf ball. Well, it may work for John Doyle hitting a country mile, but it's not going to work in baseball that way.
No, I really think usually, and Jennifer made a great point, it really is an individual thing. You take a hitter sometimes, and he would be so uptight, and he's just afraid to make a mistake and take one, take two. That guy, you need to really, hey, you got to be aggressive. Other guys are so aggressive, the guy throws the ball, you swing at anything. That's the guy who needs to relax and breathe and stay within himself. So it's very individual.
Yeah, and the psychology of managing a team, and I know you've mastered this because you've been at it
Did you watch
so...
us play last year?
Aberration. Harder to defend than get there. True?
It's the same every year. Just that last year weren't as good.
Yeah. But what I was getting at is the fact that you talk about treating the 25 guys individually. So you have to not micromanage, but manage every player uniquely.
Well, that's a good point, Rich, because I think the key nowadays is that you got to personalize your relationship. I think there are some core philosophies, strategies that are the same for everybody. I mean, everybody has to show up in a certain time. Everybody's got to max out the effort. But then within the rest of the stuff that you do, as I said, some guys, they need a pat. Other guys need a pop. You
Right.
just got to, sometimes you pat and pop the same, different guys. I mean, so you really have to pay attention to the individual.
The carrot and the stick. You don't hold the carrot out and then whack them with the stick, do you?
Well, I just remind them sometimes that they have a locker and I have the office.
Well, that's great. But, you know, you were referred to back in the day as the first computer whiz of baseball. So they said he was the high-tech manager. Yet you're a humanist. You're a warm, engaging guy. Is there a conflict there, or is it working in harmony sort of with the technology and the people aspect of managing in the major leagues?
That's interesting because that's probably the most inaccurate. I've been accused or depicted a bunch of different ways. That's the most because inaccurate. You know, I had the law degree and people thought that I was, you know, into technical stuff. The people that know me from Chicago, Oakland, and St. Louis, they all laugh. I don't even carry a laptop. I mean, I like writing things down. I just don't like the technical side. I mean, people have to turn my cell phone on for me. I don't know it. But for me, it doesn't work. Well, you know, I think there is a place for the technical explosion, you know, and all the analysis, but it very much is the individuals, and you know, these are men, not machines, that are playing the game. I'm not very computer oriented, but I'm very personally oriented.
Yeah, so you belie that image. Well, maybe that's what you snowed them. You know, maybe that's half of it, Tony. If they thought you were smarter and you were ahead of the curve, that intimidated your opponent, and that works because then you engender that negative adrenaline, and then they go, oh, we're playing a Tony La Russa team.
Well, we prepare. I have, I think, the greatest pitching coach in the history of the game, Dave Duncan.
Boy.
Dave Duncan is very complete. I mean, he has a program that he does himself on his computer. He watches video. He does it all. I do it, you know, with a legal pad and writing things down. So, you know, preparation is the key. You know, it takes me longer, but, you know, if I write down, I remember it. So I think it's just individual.
Yeah, and you've managed the greatest players. Brad, you've coached some of the greatest players, from Agassi to Roddick. Different guys, different approach, or is it the same agenda?
Well, the key to coaching is knowing what your subject is. And when you're coaching somebody, you got to remember, and all these players, they feel it. You're not coaching the last player. And whenever you're coaching somebody, you're looking through only their eyes and what, you know, you can do for them. Like if I'm coaching Andy Roddick, it doesn't matter what I did with Andre because their game is nothing alike. And whether or not you're coaching a female or a male, I think that you're trying to bring out the best in what they have. And that's the key to coaching, you know, is when you see your subject and, okay, what can we do to get better? You know, it's not what this guy did and I want you to play like this person. You can't make people the same. And that's a big mistake, is trying to, you know, make people the same. And I couldn't be more like Tony, man. I'm old school too. I mean, I don't study video and all the high-tech stuff that people do because I still think the human element is huge in sports. And sometimes you can get a little too carried away knowing too many stats, knowing too many things. All of a sudden you get out there and all these, you know, premonitions that you have and stats that you thought about, they start not happening. Trouble starts happening. Yeah. So a lot of times it's got to be instinctive out there, and you set forth a game plan, and remember that, you know, it's looking through their eyes. It doesn't matter what you would do, it's what they would do.
Yeah. You can't think and do at the same time, right, Jennifer?
Right.
I remember Jerry Rice's first year with the 49ers. He dropped more balls than he caught. And people are saying, what a bust. Why did Bill Walsh trade for this #1 pick? Well, he was trying to remember where the cut was on the route and how to break off if it was a zone versus a man defense. And he was thinking instead of being instinctual and doing. A year later, well, the greatest wide receiver of all time launched his career and really found his way. How does it apply to you in basketball in your career?
Well, you know, we used to get elaborate scouting reports, and I remember kind of glancing at them, but basketball, because it's such a game of flow, you really do have to be in the moment, as we talked about earlier, on each and every play, and a player will not always do what was in the scouting report, nor will they run the play exactly the same, and it's a very fluid game. So I think I take a lot of that with a grain of salt. You look at it and you prepare, but you really have to just be there and play as the game comes to you.
Yeah. And John, give me your take
on
that.
I look at it, a coach once said, push him to his right. Push him to his right. I pushed him to his right. He took it on his left and scored.
Scouting report.
I said, thanks a lot.
Yeah, just stand in front of him and defend properly, and I would have been okay. I think with scouting, I think it's important. I think it has a huge place in soccer now, especially as a worldwide game. There's a lot of stuff going on with statistics and how much distance players are running and covering in a game. But for me, I like the personal side of things, talking to the players and making them feel important and knowing which buttons to push for the individual players.
You can think yourself out of a triumph, maybe. Even if you're athletically up to the challenge, if you don't make the right decisions mentally or embrace the wrong philosophy or coaching, you won't become a winner. Well, you guys are all winners, on and off the court and the field, and it's great to have you here. Thanks so much. Well, you know, we appreciate all of you coming by and sharing what it is that makes you successful in sports and in your personal lives. And a special thank you to Tony La Russa and Jennifer Azzi and John Doyle and Brad Gilbert. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good job.